everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Student Spotlight, where we showcase some of the work our past students have done. I'm Ingrid, and with me here is Giulia, who participated in the Rethink Essay competition this year. It is our pleasure to have her on this episode and have her share her experience with us. So to start things off, Giulia, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what year of high school you're in, and what your general research and academic interests are?
So I'm Giulia. I was born in Italy and moved to England last year. And I'm currently studying here in England my A-levels, which are maths, chemistry, and physics. And I'm currently in year 13, so it's my last year before going to university.
Mm-hmm. Could you share with us how you discovered CCIR and this essay competition?
So it was all thanks to my school that introduced me to the CCIR essay competition. Then I didn't really know what it was at first, but then once I started the research, I just completely enjoyed it. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Were you looking for research competitions or similar competitions yourself because you wanted to get to have this experience, or what was the motivation behind it?
So it was mainly curiosity, and especially related to the what the essay was about. So I wrote my essay on gene therapy, and at first I didn't really know what gene therapy was, and just the name caught my interest. But once I started researching, I started loving it and couldn't stop researching.
Mm-hmm. Have you had experience with similar competitions in the past, or is this your first time?
So this is probably my first essay competition. I did some physics and chemistry Olympiads, but that's a different thing because they're mainly exercises and problems. This was an actual research.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's similar to the EPQ because I did one, but this was more on something that I didn't really know about. So it just was very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. For our listeners who are new to the Rethink Essay competition, it's an annual competition, and the mission is always to promote critical thinking and an exploration of a wide range of thought-provoking and often controversial subject matters. So this year we had 10 essay prompts, and they were contributed by professors from Harvard, Brown, UC Berkeley, Cambridge, Oxford, and MIT. And along with each prompt, there was a list of recommended reading that also provided to encourage students to dive into subject matters from various perspectives. So Giulia, you said you did the gene therapy prompt, and it was something that you just really discovered through this essay competition. How did you develop an interest in this topic? And yeah, let's start from there.
So once I started researching the topic, let's start with saying that I really like biology, even if it's not one of my A-levels. And I especially liked the idea of using vectors such as viruses to modify the gene of people to treat disease. And this also had an influence of my career choice, because after this essay, I kept deepening the subject and discovering more about the different ways of using gene therapy to treat disease. And now my aim as university and career is to study things related to viruses, so virology, and gene therapy, so genetics.
Wow. That's awesome that you discovered a kind of a more specific direction just from this essay competition that was introduced to you by your teacher. Could you tell us a little bit about how you approached writing this essay? Did you start with the reading, suggested readings, or did you kind of how did you do the research on a topic that's quite new to you?
So the resource side wasn't too easy because I knew that I had to find some reliable resources. So I started by looking at Science Direct and attendable resources such as Google Scholar and so on. But many times they use too complicated words and concepts. So I also had to look at, well, summarizes and videos that actually explained how everything worked. And this also helped me because once I started writing the essay, I had built a structure. And while writing the essay, I was also, while writing, I was organizing all my thoughts, and it helped me better understand how gene therapy works.
That's really cool because, yeah, that was like one of the other questions I wanted to ask is like, how did you approach the entire process of writing this paper? Because obviously, this is, especially in your case, like you're learning essentially a new subject that you weren't like learning, you didn't know before. So you're like learning on top of like doing research and kind of like building those connections, and also like having to edit and like, you know, format and all that and polish your paper before you submit it. Did you, are these like very clear steps, or did you find that it all like kind of worked simultaneously as you were just writing your paper?
So I had to do many changes on my paper because it didn't came right once I was writing it. So I like being structured, which is why I created many different, let's say, chapters to organize my thoughts. And then based on what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it, I kept changing all the parts of my essay.
Yeah, that makes sense because sometimes things just unfold and then you like just run with it. Did you approach your essay with like kind of a clear direction of what your argument was going to be, or did you kind of waver as you were doing research and learning about the subject?
So I had a rough idea because when they presented all the different types of essays we could write, they also gave a main area and topic we had to concentrate on. So, for example, in gene therapy, we had to also talk about how it was used during COVID-19. So then I decided to deepen this matter too. And when I had to write the essay, I started with an introduction. So saying, in this essay, I'm going to talk about this. Then I gave a brief explanation of what it was and how it worked. And subsequently, I just introduced the different types of ways it can be used. I took into consideration the ethical side because, well, for example, it can't be used to modify embryos due to ethic concerns. And, well, then I explained how it was used during COVID-19. And finally, I gave a conclusion. So I had a rough idea of what I wanted to write and how.
I just realized I never asked you to explain to our listeners who are not familiar with gene therapy what it is. So could you like provide a very like brief explanation on gene therapy and maybe like some of the pros and cons that you've kind of realized from your research?
So gene therapy is a technique used to treat disease by modifying someone's genome. And there are mainly 3 ways to use it. One is adding inside the person's body a new edited gene. One is to deactivate the gene with the illness. And one is to take away the part of the gene that is infected and substitute it with a newly healthy one. And what I really liked, well, the side of gene therapy that I really like deepening, was how viruses and bacteria are used to bring the newly made genome inside the human body. So, for example, for viruses, they have RNA inside them, which contains, well, their genetic information. So what we do is we take away their RNA and put inside an RNA that we made that we want to put inside the person's body. And then the virus just do what he usually does when he enters the person's body. But the difference is that instead of attacking the human cells by bringing its own RNA, he brings the RNA that the scientists have put inside. And this is one of the ways that are used to cure diseases. But one of the problems is that, for example, when using RNA, it doesn't last long. So these procedures must be done again and again. And there are some possibilities that the virus may gain its old attacking procedure, so it may become harmful for the person. Or, well, yes, just the human body may not, how should I put it? It may not
like accept
the illness anymore, so it becomes it doesn't consider the new RNA you bring anymore, or it can consider it an enemy. And then, well,
yes. Oh, sorry, go on.
There is one last ethical concern, which is, well, instead of modifying the gene of people when they're adults, modifying them when they're still babies, so when they are in their embryos. But this isn't ethically well seen, because you can't ask the baby if he wants to receive that gene therapy.
Has I'm guessing like gene therapy has it been around for a while? Like the science is like relatively mature, but there's still a lot of research to be done to kind of increase the efficacy. I see. This is so fascinating. I never really thought about, like, I mean, I'm not in sciences, so this is like, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are also learning a lot from your explanations. How was it used during COVID? Did they kind of take the virus and then put in like a new RNA to put back into like humans? Or is that kind of like the gist of how it was used during COVID-19?
So what they actually discovered is that they used mRNA vaccines. So it was slightly different from gene therapy because they were vaccines. So in the end, they wasn't really able to deepen too much the COVID-19 section.
I see. Well, thank you so much for explaining to us. Like, honestly, that was really interesting to learn about. So thank you so much. I want to extend my congratulations on receiving the Bronze Award for your submission. To give our listeners an idea of the rigor of this competition, submissions undertake 4 rounds of blind review by scholars from Cambridge, Oxford, Stanford, MIT, and several other Ivy League universities. We saw over 4,200 submissions from more than 50 countries, and only 33 winners were awarded. So to receive this high distinction is an incredible achievement. So let's talk about it. What were your reactions when you received this result?
I was quite surprised because I didn't really expect to receive the result. Initially it was just something I was passionate about. So in the end, what I told myself was, well, I discovered something new. It was very interesting. So if I don't win, it's the same.
Yeah. No, I think that's such a great way to approach it. like approach any of these competitions with an open mind and like be open to learning and like going through the experience rather than maybe chasing some sort of like tangible achievement. And you'll be surprised. That's just like the cherry on top of like whatever you already received from entering this competition. So you mentioned that this competition kind of like steered you towards a direction that you want to pursue in your higher education. So what would you say are your next steps in terms of like entering university and what you would pursue?
So I was thinking of studying biomedical science at university so that I can better deepen especially the biological side of things and the human body, because I'm very interested in all the microorganisms and that wide world we have inside our body, or the microscopic world, and all the diseases and the way we can cure diseases. So I think biomedical science is the right way to approach.
That's so exciting. Yeah, that is really exciting. And I'm glad that this competition was able to kind of like help you discover your passions. And obviously you're going to keep like learning more and then maybe like going, finding directions in the direction you're going to. So as a celebration for the accomplishments of our participants in this essay competition, CCIR also hosted a symposium this summer featuring Nobel laureate keynote speakers at the University of Cambridge, and Giulia was able to attend this year. Can you share a little bit about your experience and what that was like to be in that environment with other peers and scholars?
So it was very interesting because I attended, during the symposium, I was able to see many different students presenting their own researches, and they were great. I thought they were geniuses because the things they brought were extremely difficult, but they explained them very, very well. So I started becoming passionate of whatever they were saying. And especially the Nobel laureate speeches that came after, where I found them very useful because it really it gave you that passion that for studying and for learning new things. It was very inspiring.
Was there like one or two specific keynotes that really made an impression on you?
Well, I remember just that if you want to learn something, you have to choose something you're passionate about. So, because the more you're passionate, the more you don't see it as, well, I must study this because I must study it, but it's your own choice. It's you that want to deepen something. And in the end, you just keep asking yourself questions on the subject and you learn something new.
Yeah, you're almost like, it's just that extra motivation. Like it doesn't even feel like it's really work because you're genuinely interested in it. That's awesome. What would you say are your biggest like learnings and takeaways from this competition as a whole? Like not just pertaining to what you research, but also just like how you approach like your studies and life in general.
Well, it helped me improve in my organization and also time management because during that period, the period I was writing the essay, I also had to do all my coursework and homework. So I was able to do both school homework and write the essay, other than organizing all the sources I had, and also choose the right sources because I had to be sure they were reliable.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for students who are interested in entering this essay competition next year?
Well, don't if I have to say something, just don't think about the final prize. Choose something you like, you're interested in. It doesn't matter if you don't know what it is. The important thing is that it catches your interest, because if you're interested, then you won't even see it as something difficult to do or challenging. It would just be you learning something you're passionate about and you like learning.
That, like, I'm so inspired, honestly. So thank you so much for like sharing that and kind of encouraging the students to approach it, and I guess like the less like, you know, like, it's, I don't know what the right word is, but like just kind of take the pressure off of like this being a competition and just be open to like seeing where it leads them, essentially. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing. That would be my last question for our episode today. Do you have anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, just I don't think I have anything else to say. Just research whatever you're interested in and keep asking yourself questions, because the more questions you ask yourself, the more you'll end up deepening the topic and the more you'll learn. And at the same time, your passions will grow even bigger. So just enjoy what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, like I would build on top of that just to like start somewhere, and then just the more you uncover, the more you know, and then the more you like realize what your true, you know, interests are. But you have to just get started, I guess. Thank you so much, Giulia, for joining us and for sharing your experiences with our listeners. Congratulations once again on your success with the Rethink Essay Competition. And yeah, best of luck with your final year of school and entering university and beyond.
Thank you.